welcome back to my channel. In today's tutorial we will be making this beautiful Peaks crochet tank top. This is a pattern that I found online, so I have linked it in the description down below. So without further ado, let's get into the video. Okay, for this project I'm using Bernat Baby Sport, and this is a lightweight number 3 yarn. Any lightweight size 3 yarn will work for this. I'm also using my 3.5mm crochet hook. I will be making a size small, like small. Okay, and this is worked in 2 panels. You will have a front side and a back side. Alright, and so we're going to start with the back. Okay, so to begin, you will need to start with a chain of 84. So I have already gone ahead and chained 84. And let's begin round 1. So I'm going to double crochet in the 8th stitch from the hook. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1 double crochet in the 8th chain. And then 1 double crochet in each of the next 7 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 for a total of 8. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now chain 2, skip 2 stitches, and then 8 double crochets, 1 in each of the next 8 chain spaces. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And you're going to do that one more time. So chain 2, skip 2 chain spaces, 1, 2, and then 8 double crochets, 1 in each of the next 8 chains. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And that takes us to the middle. In the middle, we're going to work different from the ends. So we're going to have 3 blocks on this side, 1 block in the middle that's going to be different for each row, and then 3 blocks of 8 on the other side. So for the middle, we're going to start the same. So we're going to chain 2, skip 2 stitches, and then we're going to do 14 double crochets in each of the next 14 chain spaces. So that's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and 14. Chain 2. So we have a block of 6, sorry, a block of 8, another 8, another 8. So we have 3 blocks of 8, then a block of 14. Now we're going to do 3 more blocks of 8 on this side. So chain 2, 8 double crochets, chain 2, skip 2, 8 double crochets, chain 2, skip 2. All right, so do 2 more blocks, and then I'll meet you. Okay, so I've completed 2 of my 3 blocks of 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All right, so I'm going to chain 2, skip 2, and 8 more double crochets in each of the next 8 chain spaces. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And that leaves me with 3 chain spaces remaining. I'm just going to chain 2 and 1 double crochet in the very last chain space to mimic this side where we did our first double crochet in the 8th chain from the hook. So this side is identical to this side. I can't fit everything in the frame, but you get it. So we have, like I said before, we have an open space here, and 1, 2, 3 blocks of 8, our block of 14, which is the center, then 1, 2, 3 blocks of 8, and then an open space over here. All right, now move. Okay, for row 2, we're going to chain 3, turn your work, and in that first open space, you're going to put 2 double crochets. So in the chain 2 space, 2 double crochets. Now chain 2. You're going to skip 2 double crochets and then 1 double crochet in each of the next 6 double crochets. So again, you skip the first 2 and then 1 in each of the next 6. 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And that brings us to the chain 2 space. So you're going to put 2 double crochets in that chain 2 space. Now chain 2, skip the next 2 double crochets and 1 in each of the next 6 stitches of the previous round. 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And that takes us up to the chain 2 space where you're going to put 2 double crochets. Now chain 2, and that takes us to here. We're going to skip the first 2 stitches and then 1 double crochet in each of the next 6 double crochets. That's 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And then 2 double crochets in the chain 2 space. 2. So we just created another 3 blocks of 8. And if you notice, our open spaces are now going on an angle. Okay, now we're up to the center point. This center point we had 14 stitches. Now we're going to take that down to 10 stitches. So chain 2, skip the first 2 double crochets, and we're going to 1 double crochet in each of the next 10 stitches. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. And with that we have 2 stitches remaining. So on this side we were doing 6 double crochets, then 2 in the chain 2 space. On this side we are going to do the opposite. So it's pretty much the same thing, but instead of doing 6 then 2, we're going to be doing 2 then 6. Alright, let me show you what I mean. So we chain 2, skip the last 2 spaces, 2 double crochets into the chain 2 space, 1 and 2, and now 1 in each of the next 6 for a total of 8. That's 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Now chain 2, skip the last 2 stitches and 2 double crochet into the chain 2 space, 1 and 2. Now 6 into the next 6 double crochets of the previous round, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Chain 2, skip the last 2 stitches, 2 double crochets in the chain 2 space, then 1 in each of the next 6 stitches, 1 and 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Chain 2. Remember when we started with a chain 3 and then 2 double crochets in that first space. So we're going to end with the same. So skip the last 2 stitches and put 3 double crochets all into that last space. So I put 2 in the space, and then I'll just put the third one in the top of that chain to anchor it, just like so. And that is it at this point. So this is our center. So everything else, we have 3 blocks, 1, not counting the edges. So if we don't count the edge, we have 1, 2, 3 blocks on each side. And then we have the center, which is the only part that's different. Okay, and that sets us up for round 3. Round 3 starts with 3 chains, 2, 3. Turn your work. You're going to do 1 double crochet in the next 2 double crochets, 1 and 1 in that one, then 2 in the first chain 2 space. Now chain 2, and just like before, skip the first 2 double crochets and then 1 in each of the next 6. So if you notice, there's slight differences because over here has started to grow, but these 3 blocks before the center and the 3 blocks after the center will always be the same. Okay, so like I said, 1 double crochet in each of the next 6 stitches, I have 3, 4, 5, and 6. 2 double crochets in the chain 2 space, chain 2, skip the first 2 stitches, 1 in each of the next 6, 1 double crochet in each of the next 6 stitches, 3, 4, 5, and 6, and that takes us up to the chain 2 space. We put 2 double crochets into that space. Now chain 2, skip the next 2 stitches, 1 in each of the next 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Okay, so we've done our edge, 1, 2, 3 blocks. Oops, not complete, sorry. You have to put 2 in the last, in that chain 2 space to complete that block of 8. Okay, and that takes us up to our center. So last time we had 10 stitches, now we're gonna have 6. So chain 2, skip the first 2, and then 1 in each of the next 6, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And we have 2 stitches remaining. We're going to chain 2, skip those 2, and now we're working the 3 blocks on this side and our edge piece. So we're working backwards. So it will be 2 double crochets in the chain 2 space, then 6, 1 in each of the next 6 double crochets, chain 2, skip 2, 2 double crochets. So go ahead and do that on this side. I'll do the first block with you. So it's 2 double crochets in the chain 2 space, 1 in each of the next 6 stitches, 3, 4, 5, and 6, and then you chain 2, skip 2, and begin the next block, which starts with the 2 double crochets in the chain 2 space. Okay, so go ahead and do this block, which will be 2 double crochets here, then 6 double crochets, 1 in each of the next 6, skip 2, chain 2, chain 2, skip 2, 2 double crochets, then 6 here, chain 2, skip 2, then you do the edge. The edge over here has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 stitches, so you know over here you will end with 5 stitches. You'll do 2 in here, then 1 in each of the next 3 to complete this round. So go ahead and do that, and I will meet you at the beginning of the next round. All right, beginning round 4. Chain 3, turn the work. We're going to do 1 double crochet in each of the next 1, 2, 3, 4 stitches, including the chain 3. We'll have a total of 5, because that beginning chain 3 does count as our first double crochet in each round. Oops. So that's 2 into 4 and 1, 5, and now 2 in the chain 2 space for a total of 7 for the edge. Okay, now moving on to our first block. Chain 2, skip the first 2 stitches, 1 in each of the next 6 stitches. with each row our 3 blocks before the center will always have 8 stitches, and the 3 blocks after will always have 8 stitches. The only part that's different are the edges on both sides, this part on either side. So it's just this side, the next side like this, the next edge, and the center are the only difference. The 3 blocks in between will always be the same. One you work this way, the other one you work the opposite way. I hope I'm not confusing you. Okay, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, then 2 in the chain 2 space for a total of 8. Now you chain 2, skip the first 2, 1 in each of the next 6 stitches, then 2 in the chain 2 space, chain 2, skip 2, 6 in each of the next 6 double crochets, chain 2, sorry, 2 in the chain 2 space. I'm sure you got the hang of it by now. So finish this block, do this block, and I'll meet you when we get to the center. I'm at the center. So I've done my last block of 8. So now I chain 2. And in the center here I have 14, 10, 6. Now I'll be down to 2. So I'm skipping the first 2, then 1 double crochet in the next 2 double crochets, and then chain 2, skip the last 2, and now I'm going to do my 3 blocks of 8 on the opposite side. So we'll start with 2 double crochets in the chain 2 space, 1 in each of the next 6 for a total of 8. So that's 3, 4, 5, and 6. And then counting these 2, I have 8. So next comes chain 2, skip the last 2, and move on to the next block, which begins with 2 double crochets in the chain 2 space, then 1 in each of the next 6 for a total of 8 stitches. So with that, you should be able to complete this round. So you finish the next block, then the next one, and you know after you skip this 2 at the end, you put 2 double crochets here, and then 1 in each of the next 5 over here for a total of 7. So you'll end with 7. So go ahead and finish that, and I will meet you at the beginning of the next round. Okay, so here we are. If you pay attention to the center, you'll notice we are forming a peak. So now we move on to row 5, and it is chain 3. Turn your work. And now you're going to put 1 double crochet in each of the stitches of the previous round. I think we had 7, so 2, 4, 6. And that chain 3 space was our 7th. So this chain 3 that we just did counts as 1. So you're going to put 1 in each of the next 6 for a total of 7. 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And now 2 in the chain 2 space for a total of 9 stitches. So this edge has 9 stitches, so you know you'll end over here with 9. But like I said, always these 3 blocks before the center will always be 8 stitches. So to begin, as usual, chain 2, skip the first 2, then 1 in each of the next 6. Each of the next 6 double crochets. Okay, which takes us to our first chain 2 space, where we'll put 2 double crochets for a total of 8. And that's our first block. Okay, so go ahead and work this block and this block, and I'll meet you at the center. All right, so I am up to the center. I've worked my 1, 2, 3 panels. I'm not counting this side, so you might say, oh, there's 4. I'm not counting the edge. So 1, 2, 3 panels, or 3 blocks of 8, which takes me up to this center point. There's no stitches to work in. So I chain 2, and now I am going to just work the other side. So my other 3 blocks of 8. And that's it for this round. So 2 double crochets, then 1 in each of the next 6, for a total of 8 stitches. That takes me up to these last 2, where I will chain 2 and work the next block of 8, starting with 2 double crochets into the chain 2 space, then 1 in each of the next 6. So go ahead and complete this round, and you know, once you get over here, we started with 9 stitches, so we will end with 9 stitches. So go ahead and complete this round, and I will meet you at the beginning of round 6. Okay, so now we're at row 6, which will be, row 6 is actually row 1, but since we're not using a chain as our base, we had to switch it up a little bit. So for round 6, you are actually going to start with a chain of 5. 2, 3, 4, 5, which counts as a double crochet and a chain 2. So after each chain 2, the next step is to skip 2. So we'll skip the first 2, and then we're going to do 1 double crochet in each of the next 6 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And that takes us up to our chain 2 space, where we're going to put 2 double crochets, 1 and 2, and that gives us a total of 8 stitches. So if you look back at row 1, row 6 is actually row 1. I hope I'm not confusing you with that. So it is actually a 5-row repeat, this project. So let's just go through it. So after our first 8, then chain 2, skip 2, 1 double crochet in each of the next 6 stitches, 2, 4, 5, and 6, then 2 in the chain 2 space, chain 2, skip 2, 1 in each of the next 6 stitches, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, then 2 in the chain 2 space. So counting this one, because now this chain 3 over here will be our edge. So then we worked a block of 8, another block of 8, another block of 8. So we are at the center now. And at the center, when we started with 14 double crochets. So that's where we are. So we're going to chain 2, skip 2, then 1 double crochet in each of the next 14 stitches. for our center. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8 goes into that chain 2 space. Then right after that we just keep going for 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and 14. We have 2 stitches remaining, so now we chain 2 and 2 double crochets in the chain 2 space, then 1 in each of the next 6 for our first panel of 8, or first block of 8. I keep saying panel. Okay, so 1 in each of the next 6 for our first block of 8 on this side. And basically we've got it from here. I think you've got it from here. So chain 2, 2 in the chain 2 space, 1 in each of the next 6, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Skip the last 2, chain 2, 2 in the chain 2 space, then 1 in each of the next 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And that gives us a total of 8. 2, 4, 6, 8. Now we're going to chain 2 and 1 double crochet into that very first or very last chain 3 space to complete that round. So row 6 is our new row 1. So at this point you will repeat the pattern from row 2 to 6. From row 2 to 6, and you will do that for another 5 rows. So you'll repeat from row 2 to 6 5 more times to complete your back panel of this shirt. So row 2 starts with a chain 3, then 2 double crochets into that first chain 2 space, chain 2, skip the first 2, then 1 in each of the next 6 double crochets, then 2 in the chain 2 space for your first block of 8, and then when you get to the center you have 14, so now you know you're going to skip 2 on each side, which is going to take you down to 10. And then after that it is your 3 blocks of 8. Basically, see where round 2 is? All you gotta do is look at the previous rows before, and then you'll know what to do next. Just remember that in the center it is 14, then 10, then 6, then 2, then none. I think once you have that center part down, 14, 10, 6, 2, none. Once you got that part down, then this should be a breeze for you. So if you need to, you can back up the video back to row 2 and then go to row and then keep going to row 6, then back it up and start again. And you'll do that for another 5 more blocks of 6 rows. And then I'll go ahead and complete mine, and then we'll move from there. Okay, so I have completed the back part of my top. I have done 6 of the 5 row repeats. So if I count my peak areas, like where the top of each triangle is, I should have 6. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And I ended on a row 5, not a row 6. So this is going to be the back. So now you're going to need to make a second one of this. So you will start with your chain of 84. So pretty much start over from the beginning and make another one of these. Once you have 2 of these panels completed, then we'll move forward. So at this point you can just pull up a loop and, you know, cut off your ends and start your second panel. All right, so go ahead and complete another piece exactly like this, and then we will move on from there. Okay, so I have completed both panels. So my back panel and my front panel. The back panel we already pull up a loop and cut off our ends. So we are done with the back for now. But the front section, we are gonna still be working on it, because with the front we are going to continue up and in. So we'll be going up for a few more rows while decreasing to form a tapered front. I guess as we move on you will get it. Okay, so moving on. All right, so row 1 of this tapering off, we are going to start with a chain 3. Okay. And turn your work around. Skip the first 2 stitches and then 1 double crochet in each of the next 6 stitches. 3, 4, 5, and 6. Then 2 double crochets into the chain 2 space, chain 2, skip 2, then 1 in each of the next 6 stitches. Not a lot will change moving forward, so it's pretty much gonna be the same. The only thing that will change is the edging, and you'll see that as we go along. You see over here where we had all these stitches. Moving forward, we're not gonna have those. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 2 into the chain 2 space, chain 2, skip 2, 1 in each of the next 6, 3, 4, 5, and 6, 2 into the chain 2. Okay, chain 2, 1, 2, skip 2, and then 1 in each of the next 6 stitches. Two into the chain 2 space. And right now we are working the center, so we are not going to chain 2, skip 2. We're in the center, so this is where we do our 14 stitches. So I did 6 there, then 2 here, which makes 8. Now we're going to continue 6 more, which will make 14 for that center space, the center block. if we can call it that. So we have a block of 8, another block of 8, another block of 8, which takes us to the middle where we have 14. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Now chain 2, skip 2 and 2 into the chain 2 space. Now 1 in each of the next 6 stitches. We are working the last block of 8, the last 3 blocks of 8 on the other side of that center 14 stitch. So just pretty much the same thing we've been doing leading up to this point. That's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Chain 2, skip the last 2 stitches and 2 double crochets into that chain 1 space. Oh my gosh, was I out of the frame? And then 1 in each of the next 6. Skip 2, 2 into the whoops, I skipped the 2 but I never chained 2. Okay, so chain 2, skip 2, then 2 double crochets into that chain 2 space, then 1 in each of the next 6. And 6. All right, so at the end, see here we just chained 3. We chained 3, skipped 2, and just went into our 6 double crochets into each of the next 6 stitches, then the 2 in the chain 2 space. So on this side we're doing the same. So we finished our 8, and then we won't do a chain 2, we'll just do 1 double crochet into the last stitch of the previous round, like that. So we won't have a chain 2 at the end. Okay, round 2 of this tapering off. We're gonna start with a chain 3 again. Turn your work. Skip the first 2 stitches, 1 double crochet in each of the next 6 stitches. Four, 5, and 6. 2 double crochets into the chain 2 space, chain 2, skip 2, 1 double crochet in each of the next 6 stitches. Two into the chain 2 space for a total of 8. Chain 2. Okay, so basically we are still doing this. We are still following the same pattern as before, and I don't know if I mentioned this before, but as I mentioned before, the only thing that we are no longer doing is this edge section. So each row is going to start with a chain 2, skip 2, and then we go into the pattern. 6 double crochet in each stitch of the previous round. 2 into the chain 2 space, chain 2, skip 2. You do your 8 stitches again, chain 2, skip 2, 8 stitches again, and then when you get to the center, we go from 14 to 10 to 6 to 2, and then same thing on this side that we do on this side. So you'll have your 3 blocks of 8, and then when you get to your last block of 8, you won't chain 2, you will just skip 2 stitches and 1 double crochet into the very last stitch. And you will keep doing this for a total of 10 rows. So this we're on right now is row 2. So I guess you could put a stitch marker here at row 1, and then you'll know you do a total of 10 of this tapering off row. So again, everything in here will be the same. It's just at the edges we are no longer gonna have this part down here. So it's just gonna keep tapering off until it starts going in like this. I hope that makes sense to you. And the pattern is linked below if you need something to follow along with. But I'm gonna keep going with mine until I've completed my 10 rows, and then we'll join them and make the straps and continue from there. Alright, so keep going, and then I guess I'll meet you when I'm done with my 10 rows of tapering off. So this is what my finished front panel looks like. So I've completed my 10 rows of tapering off, and what that gave me was 2 blocks of that 5-row repeat that we've been doing. The only difference is the edges are now been taken in. Alright, so the next step would be to grab your back panel, so the first panel that you did, and lay it on top. You want to make sure you have the bottoms even, because the back panel is shorter than the front, so you want to make sure you line it up at the bottom like so. And then I guess you can put a stitch marker here, and what you'll do, put a stitch marker right there to attach both pieces together. And what you will do at this point is to sew the back and the front together. You can do a row of single crochet or slip stitch, or you can just grab your yarn needle, put some thread, put some yarn in it, and sew both panels together. And then you would repeat the same thing on the opposite side. So line them up from the bottom, pin them together to hold it in place, which is optional, totally up to you, and sew both the back and front together. So go ahead and do that. Sew both the back and the front together along the side seams, and then I'll do mine and we'll go from there. Alright, so I have managed to attach both the back and front panels together. And now the next step would be the straps. So for this part, it is pretty simple, and I'm pretty much just going to talk you through it because I am running out of storage space. So what you'll do is at the right seam, you're just going to slip stitch, so the seam where you connected the back and front together, slip stitch, then chain 1, and now you're just going to work across the back with 1 single crochet in each stitch all along here. So you'll go straight across the back to the next seam, and then up the sides. So in each of these spaces on the side, you will be putting 2 or 3 single crochets. I say maybe 2. You don't want to have them too crowded. And then when you get up to the very edge right here of the top, so when you get up to right here, this is where you're going to put your first drop. So keep going 1 single crochet in each stitch all the way up to this point, and then we'll go from there. Coming up to the first edge off the front of the top, I'm just going to do 1 single crochet right in the very edge, and then another one in the next space. And now I'm going to chain 60 for the strap. Alright, so I have chained 60 stitches for my strap. I'm just going to flatten them, and I've already put my top down, so now I'll line it up straight across like so to determine where my strap will attach on the other side. So there's no rhyme or reason to this. I just laid it down flat and then just lined it up. See where this falls straight across, and just chose my point just like that. So with that, I'll just slip stitch in the other side to join my strap. Like so. And then complete that slip stitch, and now in that same space I'll make a single crochet just to anchor it, and then the next step would be to do 1 single crochet in each of the chain spaces all the way back to the beginning. So go ahead and do that, and once you get back to the starting point, you're just gonna continue a single crochet in each stitch all the way across the front panel until you get to the next edge. Okay, so you keep going until you get over to this point. So the very last stitch here, you'll stop here, the second to last stitch, and you'll make your 60 chains, join to the back, work your way back to the beginning, and you'll anchor it into this last stitch right here, and then you'll go down with your 2 single crochet in each space all the way back to the side seam where we began, and then you'll slip stitch, cut off your thread, and that will be it for this project. So go ahead and complete yours, and then I guess I'll show you what mine looks like once I'm done. Alright, so my top is completed. At this point, all I have left to do would be to weave in my ends, but that is it. So I got both my straps done, and that's it. I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in another video.